blues. Do you usually have Monday blues?
I used to, until I changed my attitude towards Monday. I used to also call it the most disorganized day of the week, and I realized I had to change my attitude because it was affecting how I was viewing Monday and how I was going through it. It's the beginning of the week. You can't afford to be with such an attitude, so I had to change it. So Monday is a good day.
I like that. And Mr. Chirabo, good morning.
Oh, I love good morning to you.
I love the coffee.
Well, what better way to start a week than
wearing a coffee brown suit and taking a cup of coffee.
Definitely.
That is beautiful.
You see, I'm one of the people that are promoting domestic consumption of coffee, though recently there was some money that was carrying to many people that was invested in promoting domestic consumption of coffee. Because we do a lot of coffee, we plant a lot of coffee, we rank good on the global market, but actually most of our coffee is not taken by us. It is only about 30% of the coffee grown in Uganda that is taken by Ugandans.
And yet we are the second producers and exporters, coming second to Ethiopia on the African continent.
So what happens is we have to sell our coffee, unfortunately, sometimes in the raw form, no value added, to export it. So we launched, and I'm part of Ugandans that are promoting local consumption of coffee. Wherever you are, take a cup of coffee. Make it a habit of taking coffee regularly.
But do you have friends that don't take coffee?
I have some that don't.
What reason do they state for not taking the coffee? I'm trying to find out why we are actually having Ugandans not taking the coffee.
Some say it chokes them, others they just don't.
Chokes them?
Yes, some say it chokes them, others they just don't. I think it's because they have not grown seeing this happen. People are so used to tea leaves and all that.
Which is so...
And others have so many negativity. When I take coffee,
and it is so weird because you would think that the product we produce the most is the product that we consume the most, but it is the other way around.
Now just think about if you had COVID-25 and now even we can't export our coffee, what would befall us when we don't consume it? So that's why we should be very wise in taking and promote a local consumption of coffee. Well, but you just asked how my weekend was.
Yes, yes.
I must say I had a very lovely weekend.
Okay.
Every first Sunday of the month, we all gather home for prayer, sharing. But also in the evening, Arsenal did me proud.
Oh, God.
We took the community shield, you know.
You just couldn't not talk about it.
Whatever it is, but the fact is it was a hard match. If people who are watching, if Ruben chooses to talk about that, really, and we went as far as penalties, and so what does that mean? Really, the guys, we are so confident. We have a new guy on the team, I think people refer to call him Timber, you know, but I want to say he did some good work there in defense. And this time, I think we may not be the second, but finally take the premiership.
Okay, that sounds good.
You have a history of getting close, and you know
then
almost doesn't count.
When you're always getting close, very soon, because we've tried, you know, the hippopotamus, this is what it does. Always there is a big male. Now the young ones keep on placing their foot in the footsteps of their father. So the day it wakes up and this foot fits properly, then it goes in full G and eliminates the father. So we've tried our feet there. So very soon we are sure, and the time is now, that we'll definitely take it.
Well, that is interesting. Obviously, Mr. Chirabo here is very happy. Arsenal did him good. They normally say that Arsenal fans make so much noise. Well, he doesn't seem like the kind of person who makes so much noise. But anyway, congratulations to you. And of course, a lot happened in the last 24 hours and even more. And for me, it was the trade minister finally firing the former executive director for the Uganda National Bureau of Standards, David Livingstone Ebiru, made news a few weeks ago when he admitted under oath that he had actually bribed one of his superiors so that he could keep his job. And of course, that spiraled out of control and it sent tongues wagging, and now he has been dismissed. Can you imagine that?
It was bound to happen.
No, that is when you learn that You know, when I was growing up, they would tell us that Bobato Kyogedde tofa. And when I was in my journalism school, I learned there are certain things, either for national security, or that you don't have to say everything.
He was confronted with evidence because the Kosase chairman, that is Joel Senyonyi, was actually reading to him printed messages that he exchanged with someone over the 100 million bribe.
Let me tell you, there are many people that have come through that committee and there is so much they haven't said. There's so much.
So Chirabo, while there is evidence, you would still deny?
No, that very gentleman later said he was under pressure.
I think that was because his lawyers advised him.
You know?
Yeah.
He was trying to do damage control.
So, by even saying that was just enough to show that he was not worthy being in that position. He was not. So worthy.
Anyway, Chirabo, of course, a lot happened over the weekend, and this morning, what do you have to share with us?
Well, very interesting things are happening in this country. And one of the most interesting things, I must say, is our brothers in Luwero, the Anglican Church. You know, finally they had their bishop have the first mass. That wasn't a very easy thing there. It was the first time we saw a church where the faithful have gathered outside. They have placards. Security has been deployed. At least this hasn't been common within the Anglican faith. But we hope it's done and dusted, and we pray that the believers there will accept and move forward with the new leadership. So that's what I found very interesting still.
I'm hoping. By the way, in Luwero, there has been a lot of, in the church. First of all, there is a bishop that was appointed, and then he was suspended on grounds of adultery. Yeah, a lot has been going on that side of the country, but we do hope that things settle down, because the church has to be led and life has to move on.
Especially because the church is also a very big pillar in the leadership and the growth of the country.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Chantal?
Well, I took it a bit personal with the incident that happened on the 2nd of August. That is, we saw a boat capsize on Lake Victoria, and 20 people were reported to have not survived in there, and so far we have 10 bodies that have been retrieved out of the water. And as of yesterday, the Marines that had gone to search for the bodies, or for more bodies, actually also ended up having an accident while trying to come back. Yes, had an accident. There were 5 of them, but fortunately, they all survived. But so far, 10 bodies have been retrieved, and of those, 6 are ladies.
Oh dear.
Yeah, of the 10 that, so we still have 10 more. Actually, we still have 10 more that have to be retrieved, and yeah, 6 of them are ladies.
Very unfortunate. More so with water transport, we need to improve regulation. Why? Because you find that most of these boats that where they capsize or something like that is overloading.
Right.
You know, since we don't have, like it is on land, someone to check overloading, it's on the mercy of those on the boat. And they usually have this tendency that in case of anything, we shall just throw some of the luggage. You know, so they have that issue that when we find that overloading is becoming a problem, the solution is we shall throw some of the goods into water, and we will still move on. So the boat will be a bit light, but unfortunately, some have not had the opportunity to throw what they are carrying, luggage, in water and continue. We need more regulation. What is happening on water is more the UPDF hunting for people going for fish that is not yet mature.
Yes.
There they have perfected the art. I want to tell you, there are so many, there are so plenty, but when it comes to cargo, those moving from one island to the other.
And you know, this is Africa's largest lake.
Yes.
And that's why there should be regulations, there should be measures put in place to control these things from happening. But it's very unfortunate that small incidents, I call them small, but then they had people's lives involved. They're actually big incidents that happened. Most countries, okay, actually Western countries, one person dying like this, the whole country will be a mess.
That's
because
true.
they care for their people. Measures are put in place. Do we see that happening for our country or for some of these places that need extra support and extra security, maybe not for now.
No, like I said, Uganda as a country, we are very good at having policies. Actually, we have some of the best policies in East Africa. But the challenge is that most of our policies stay on paper. And until we move away from that to execution, we are going to continue experiencing problems like this. But I'm happy that the families that, okay, I'm not happy because people died, but I am grateful that the families who lost their loved ones in the lake when the boat capsized, at least they get closure, they get to say goodbye to their departed. And of course, the families whose relatives have not yet been found, we hope and pray that the bodies are found. And it is really sad. So we send our condolences here from Good Morning Uganda. Now, that being said, of course, the She Cranes did us proud over the weekend. They came third in the Netball World Series in New Zealand. So congratulations. We are happy. We are doing well. The Ugandan flag is flying.
Across different countries, yes.
Exactly. We are doing so well. So we will be looking into some of the stories that have made news this morning, starting with our local news.
Well, I want to begin with the Prime Minister in Changwanzi, who was very tough when it came to agriculture or extension workers. The leaders in Changwanzi district asked government to provide water for production if production is to improve. The leaders, comprised of LC leaders, are resident district commissioners, extension staff, and opinion leaders, raised the concern while meeting the Prime Minister Robert Nabanja at Changwanzi district headquarters. The Prime Minister, who is in the area on a wealth creation mobilization tour on behalf of the President, assured the people of Changwanzi and Chiwoga that President Yoweri Museveni decided to address issues affecting farmers to ensure there is production and productivity and profitability.
Now, 4 Marine police officers survived drowning when the rescue boat they were using to search for guns and bodies from a capsized boat also sank near Kasenyi landing site, just 100 meters from Nsazi Island. Fortunately, the officers managed to swim to safety while a team of fishermen assisted in the search for the retrieved bodies. Despite the challenges encountered during the search, the Marine Police remained determined to recover the remaining bodies. The tragic incident occurred amid strong winds and turbulent waters with strong waves on Lake Victoria. So far, 10 bodies have been retrieved out of the over 20 people who drowned when the boat capsized midway from Kalangala to Kasenyi landing site.
And moving on now on water transport, government has taken significant steps in addressing the insecurity challenges on Lake Albert by establishing a surveillance system that will cover the entire lake. This move comes in response to the long-standing issue of Congolese militia kidnapping Ugandan fishermen and Congolese fishermen trespassing into Ugandan waters. Since 2017, there have been cases of Congolese militia abducting Ugandan fishermen, confiscating their belongings, and demanding ransom for their release. In the past, former Chief of Defense Forces John David Muhoozi intervened by holding a meeting with Congolese authority to address the issues of kidnapping.
And over 170 million shillings has been raised in cash towards the establishment of St. Ignatius University in Kabale. The university, being set up by the Kabale Diocese, has been fundraised for in the Bishop Annual Appeal Fund project. The fundraising is an initiative by the Bishop of Kabale Diocese, the Reverend Callista Rubararamira, to start development projects in the diocese.
And when we cross over and check what is happening on the international scene, an Israeli missile attack near Syria's capital, Damascus, has killed at least 4 Syrian soldiers and wounded 4 others, and this is according to a news agency. Citing a military source, Sana said the attack took place early on this morning, that is at around 2 10:20 a.m. and the Israeli enemy carried out an air attack from the direction of the occupied Syrian Golan, targeting areas in the vicinity of Damascus, and the attack killed 4 soldiers, wounded 4. It added, the agency also reported some material damage and said that Syria air defenses had intercepted some of the Israeli missiles. And away from that, Donald Trump has said he will ask the judge in his election fraud case to step aside on what he called very powerful grounds. He claimed that there is no way I can get a fair trial unless she does. His call came after the prosecution requested a court order that would limit what he can publicly say about the case. The judge, Tanya Chutkan, was appointed by former President Barack Obama. Trump took to his social media platform, Truth Social, on Sunday morning, describing the case as the ridiculous freedom of speech / fair elections case, and saying that his legal team would immediately be asking for recursal of the judge. He gives details on his grounds for asking her to step down. And speaking matters Africa, Niger's coup leaders have closed the country's airspace until further notice, citing the threat of military intervention. Flight tracking website, that is Flight Radar 24, is showing that there are currently no aircrafts in Niger's skies. The West African group of countries, ECOWAS, had earlier warned it could use force if President Mohamed was not reinstated by 23 hours as of yesterday. The junta spokesman says Niger's armed forces are ready to defend the country. Mr. Bazoum was detained on 26th July and General Abdurrahim, commander of the Presidential Guard, later proclaimed himself the new leader. And speaking matters climate, a global failure to curb carbon emissions will lead to rising debt servicing costs for 59 nations within the next decade, according to a study that stimulated the economic impact of climate change on current sovereign credit ratings. Among them, China, India, the United States, Canada could expect higher costs as their credit scores fall by 2 notches under a climate-adjusted rating system, the study published in the Management Science Journal, according to Monday. Our results support the idea that deferring green investments will increase costs of borrowing for nations, which will translate into higher costs of corporate debt, researcher Klusak said of the study led by the University of East Anglia and the University of Cambridge.
Well, interesting matters in climate change. We need to take climate change very seriously. It seems like it just keeps getting worse and worse, so we need to do our own role in trying to avert some of the bad energy that may come from us not respecting the climate, because you cannot fight against the climate and win. But anyway, let's have a look at some of the stories that have made it to the headlines in our local dailies.
Well, looking at the New Vision this morning, municipalities to get 2.7 trillion, and the she cranes coming, being #1 in Africa and 5th in the world rankings of netball there. Fresh road exposed district land boards, and the New Vision still gives you bank speaks out, systems are not hacked. Stanby clarifies on SIM card theft. Still moving on, why United Nations Rights Office is leaving Uganda. And also there are over 170 job offers for you in the New Vision this lovely Monday morning.
And crossing over to the Daily Monitor, the one that was once called the bad paper, by the way. In the Daily Monitor, how ex-UNBS boss walked into the sack. Also, before taking DNA test, what you should know. And government clears operations of new cancer center in the north. But the big headline is inside the fight at Bank of Uganda. Please do grab yourself a copy of today's Daily Monitor and you will find all the details in there. And Museveni to detectives fight crime for Ugandans to prosper. That and so much more in today's copy of the Daily Monitor.
Well, that's what we had for you this morning. We will be later on sharing more stories from across the East African region. And when we come back in our Newsreel Hour, we will be having a conversation regarding the second G25 Africa Coffee Summit. We will be having a conversation with the Executive Director, Uganda Coffee Development Authority. We'll be right back. For now, we are going to leave you with the song, with the inspiration song of the day.
This is Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Najuma, and as always I am joined by the fantastic two, that is Robert Chirabo and of course Chantal Olive Akandinda. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was a very calm weekend. Extremely calm. Extremely calm. And,
extremely?
Yeah, really calm. More calm than I anticipated.
Now, I know that for most of us, Mondays are usually hard days. For most people, it is called the Monday blues. Do you usually have Monday blues?
I used to, until I changed my attitude towards Monday. I used to also call it the most disorganized day of the week, and I realized I had to change my attitude because it was affecting how I was viewing Monday and how I was going through it. It's the beginning of the week. You can't afford to be with such an attitude, so I had to change it. So Monday is a good day.
I like that. And Mr. Chirabo, good morning.
Oh, I love good morning to you.
I love the coffee.
Well, what better way to start a week than
wearing a coffee brown suit and taking a cup of coffee.
Definitely.
That is beautiful.
You see, I'm one of the people that are promoting domestic consumption of coffee, though recently there was some money that was carrying to many people that was invested in promoting domestic consumption of coffee. Because we do a lot of coffee, we plant a lot of coffee, we rank good on the global market, but actually most of our coffee is not taken by us. It is only about 30% of the coffee grown in Uganda that is taken by
Najuma, and as always I am joined by the fantastic two, that is Robert Chirabo and of course Chantal Olive Akandinda. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was a very calm weekend. Extremely calm. Extremely calm. And,
extremely?
Yeah, really calm. More calm than I anticipated.
Now, I know that for most of us, Mondays are usually hard days. For most people, it is called the Monday blues. Do you usually have Monday blues?
I used to, until I changed my attitude towards Monday. I used to also call it the most disorganized day of the week, and I realized I had to change my attitude because it was affecting how I was viewing Monday and how I was going through it. It's the beginning of the week. You can't afford to be with such an attitude, so I had to change it. So Monday is a good day.
I like that. And Mr. Chirabo, good morning.
Oh, I love good morning to you.
I love the coffee.
Well, what better way to start a week than
wearing a coffee brown suit and taking a cup of coffee.
Definitely.
That is beautiful.
You see, I'm one of the people that are promoting domestic consumption of coffee, though recently there was some money that was carrying to many people that was invested in promoting domestic consumption of coffee. Because we do a lot of coffee, we plant a lot of coffee, we rank good on the global market, but actually most of our coffee is not taken by us. It is only about 30% of the coffee grown in Uganda that is taken by
Najuma, and as always I am joined by the fantastic two, that is Robert Chirabo and of course Chantal Olive Akandinda. Good morning, Chantal.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was a very...
They persevere to go into those deep in the villages and they buy with their own prices. They'll go there and set prices for you, and yet you're the ones who have produced this food. But now this time with the market linkages, people can now access market because we have bridges that were, streams that were bottlenecks to access by the farmers. It has constructed bridges, so farmers can now reach market.